Hello everyone to the continuation of the new series, World Legends Morgenthau. As a reminder, this is what if Germany's Morgenthau plan was kind of put into action. I'm gonna just quickly kind of draw how Germany was split up back then. Around here, and then the south of Germany, here, there would be the North Germany. Also, Hungary would be into this union kind of thing, but yeah, that's basically the gist of it. The only thing that didn't work out was Hungary, because they have too much of their own culture. But yeah, so Germany reunited in modern day is now basically a stronger power than they were before. And as such, Poland is weaker, and also they're part of the Eurasian Federation. This giant country made up of smaller individual states that Russia formed in the last episode. That was episode 1, or the prologue. So this is episode 2. We're going to see some tensions rising up now, as the Kashmir region soon is about to be set on fire. So China, Pakistan, and India all want Kashmir for themselves. Political dominance and all that. So their claims over Kashmir are, basically China and India both get into the Kashmir, and soon Pakistan also gets in. This three-way conflict is bound to end horribly, but whatever. China and Pakistan are both heavily allied, but unfortunately the conflict decides the winner. Conflict will decide the winner, and China's not letting it all go to Pakistan. Pakistan wants it all. So the first movement here, as troops enter into Kashmir, and Chinese troops smack into the north to make gains. They also push in and take this small area here, but India strikes back, pushing out here. India tries to push in and take over the Chinese claims of Kashmir, but unfortunately for them, they are soon to be kicked out. They do a counteroffensive here, and it goes relatively successful, and they capture this area of full Kashmir. However, China launches their new invasion plan, which goes less than successful. This war is already highly unpopular, but all powers have agreed to keep the fighting in Kashmir and Kashmir only, for if either power would sit outside, foreign powers would be involved. So this is basically just a battle grab for, all of Kashmir and stuff. So, yeah. Hold on, sorry. Anyways, India does push out Pakistan a little bit, and the troops right here are kind of smashed between Chinese and Indian troops. Indian troops begin to push out and split the Chinese force in two, managing to pierce all the way up. They make a push here and manage to encircle the force, which gets totally obliterated. This big front by India is an insane feat, but unfortunately Pakistan has other ideas, as they kick them entirely out and gain a little bit of ground. They push along the region of Kashmir, the Kashmir lines, and with the Chinese troops mainly cut off, they are soon to be defeated. A new front is established. A new front is established where they attack, and they attack, leaving the Indian troops relatively trapped. They cut them off, and here's capitulate. India is doing meh, but China is doing slightly bad for the region of Kashmir. So they push back and into India, where they launch another front in the Kashmir. the only front that India has going for them is this, and they know that if they cut off here, India won't be able to supply Kashmir anymore, which means they'll have to invade back here, which will be difficult to supply all these troops and the whole of Kashmir. So devastating battles take place where India starts to gain a little bit of ground, but it costs a lot of men. However, there is an encirclement here, and they surrender. China does make some more slow headway, but they do beat back Pakistan, which gives some more room for error, though not much. This is what the war is looking like right now, and other powers are getting wary that this might lead to unnecessary bloodshed. Russia has claims on Manchuria, Xinjiang, and Mongolia, as well as Japan and Korea. They want to unify all of Asia, basically, the goal of the Kremlin. Therefore, where they're starting to get some ideas, so they might be invading Mongolia. And another thing about the Eurasian Federation is that only pieces of them can declare war. Or that is if maybe Siberia wants to go to war with Mongolia, but the Russian Federation, the Russian portion, doesn't want to. They don't have to join the war, and only Siberian forces can, cross into there and stuff. So you might just see a Sibero-Mongol war break out, maybe in this episode or later. But back to Kashmir, where things aren't going great for India, who holds most of the Kashmir region. They're getting collapsed upon, and at every moment, China and Pakistan gain new ground. China completely says nope and kicks out both Pakistan and India, while India withdraws all their troops for the defense of their portion of Kashmir. Over here, a small push is made, but not much is gained. However, a good portion starts threatening encirclement, which is good. They expand out this region a little bit more to broaden it and threaten encirclement. They push up from Kashmir, which is a move China didn't really consider that India would do, but it's not against the rules of the war, the proposed rules of the war, even though really war doesn't have rules. China could break them at any moment, but China doesn't want to have to deal with this front, which they have heavily stationed, but India also has heavily stationed. So, as Indian troops do manage to push here, they push across the very thin area that China has and push into here. This catches the Chinese by surprise, as when they push, they keep pushing. There's not very many guards here because they weren't expecting this kind of advance. Another horrible thing is that the encirclement is complete, and all of the Chinese forces are destroyed. But this puts India in a very precarious situation. They're going to probably lose Kashmir, which is not good, especially since Pakistan just sent a new mobile force and is launching their full-scale invasion. So, yeah, that could be a problem, especially since China is also here. They're kind of smashing along the border. Oh god, hold on. Anyways, back here, Pakistan starts making some bold plays. They cut off the Chinese troops here and continue their assault. Well, India needs to do something fast. So what they do is a huge, costly push into a heavily defended area. But if they can encircle all these Chinese troops, it will be the biggest win for India in the war. So as they start nearing the choke, Chinese troops start getting the memo and start trying to evacuate, abandoning these positions. However, it is snipped, and plenty of Chinese forces are stuck. And soon they start to get encircled and crushed. Meanwhile, Well, since the front line basically collapsed, India has a field day kicking them out, and China almost has to give up all the Indian Kashmir stuff that they have. However, Pakistan's doing just fine. They encircled a large portion and kind of obliterated it. Also, this portion here surrenders, which is a big L to China. What's an even bigger L is, yeah, they cut them off here, which isn't very good. Sorry. Oh, God. Why does it... Good God. I'm leaving that in. I'm leaving that in. My depression with my friends are trying to screw me. Saber, frick you. Sorry. Anyways. So yeah, they cut them off here and kind of just encircle, kill, and they invade here, which goes really well since India goes behind the lines and pushes hard. They also do is they push hard from here. If Pakistan loses all this, the war will practically be over for them. Why? I mean, they have all this. Why would the war be over? But the majority of their army that was making this push is down here. Their goal was to kind of come over here and capture all this, a little bit with China, but ever since China had to retreat, they've been stuck trying to do the push themselves, basically. And with this, they're threatening a massive encirclement and the war becoming very unpopular in Pakistan, meaning that they might have to surrender. Unfortunately for them, Pakistan's reality is faced as they are encircled and obliterated. India is now very much winning. And they move up the side and invade China in another encirclement. And though China finally gets their crap together and pushes hard into this area. They cost a lot of men, but they make this small encirclement here, which doesn't really matter, but whatever. India starts to do some dangerous stuff as they get very snuggly and close to the Kashmir border. If they step over too much, that will alert China to know that the war has reached out of bounds, and that will trigger worse things. So India has to very carefully move up from here. And they hit from behind, and in a pretty good strike. But unfortunately, China was ready for it, and they had flank guards, which pushed them back, encircle, capture, and leave them to have to retreat all the way back here, in which they make another push. So now India's this army in India has to retreat fully. But India has some wins against Pakistan, which is the better part of this. They push a lot into this portion of Pakistani Kashmir, and they decide to go full-scale war and start pushing them back slowly with lots of costs. They make a small encirclement here, which cuts off the Chinese group, and they invade here. Reaching the Chinese border of Kashmir, and also reaching this portion. Now, this is a precarious situation for China, because India can do this and cut them off if they aren't careful. Pakistan is also in deep crap from India, as India is just now rearing here and has begun an initial strike to the flank of. So, with India basically winning the Kashmir war now, Pakistan is forced to withdraw all their troops out of Kashmir, which ends up in a very bad thing, because with so much withdrawal, India kind of starts flooding in with all their reserves and stuff, which leaves Pakistan losing on just about every front, which also leaves some fronts for, you know, that to happen, that to happen. So now India's doing really well. China needs to put them in a checkmate somehow. So they do. They slam a bunch of troops over here in the border and push them back with so much cost that the United States said it was almost worthless. But, you know, whatever. China has more men to spare. They eventually make an encirclement here, crush it, and they start flooding into the Kashmir region. This is what it's looking like, and neither one, and everyone knows that basically Kashmir will be a problem for centuries to come, whoever gains it. So with the extreme loss of life, Kashmir is considered that they might need to become an independent country. India is opposed to this idea, and as such, they do their natural opposition to China, which is war. They sweep through almost grabbing out of bounds. The Chinese know this is here, and they are waiting for them to step further, but they aren't. They're halting. From here, they push up and kind of have leverage over China's attack, full-scale attack. Another thing, Pakistan is trying to make a recovery. They invade here and just kind of invade this area here, but there's not much done. So finally, every country agrees to a ceasefire where they can decide what to do with the Kashmir region. All of that. Now the proposed idea is that Kashmir become a unified state that'll look something along the lines of, if I'm drawing like this, just kind of drawing the borders here really quickly. That'll kind of look something like that. An independent Kashmir would be a bit of an insult to just about everyone who did the war, but I'm going to leave it like that and let the comments decide who they think Kashmir should belong to, who did the best in that war, if India should have gained it, China should have gained it, or Pakistan should have gained it. I mean, Pakistan did kind of make that front here. India was doing really well, but I don't know. I'll let the comments decide on that. If the comments don't decide by next time, I'm probably going to default it to India. So now's your chance to make if the comments don't decide who it belongs to, I'm going to make Kashmir independent. So, anyways, we have another war happening, which is about the worst thing that could have happened to Mongolia. The entirety of them versus Mongolia. Mongolia knows they're kind of screwed, but at the same time, they want to try and put up a fight. So, this is named the 1 Week War. Day 1. Russian forces invade here, or the Eurasian forces here. Day 2. Russians managed to cut off this area, which immediately falls. They try to come here, but Mongolia does manage to beat them back just a tiny bit, and they have to retreat. And invade here. Day 3. A huge front here is made. And yeah, it's not looking good for Mongolia. They do manage to push back just a tiny bit, but not a lot. Day 4. Full-scale invasion. Yeah, Mongolia's not doing great. Full-scale invasion. Day 5. Encirclements here and here. Day 6. The encirclements are destroyed and another major push is taking place. Day 7. Finally, they reach Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia, and Mongolia surrenders. This was a very horrible war for Mongolia. And with this, they are added to the Federation. So yeah, that's basically what's happened for this. I'm going to read out the alliances just to make sure everyone knows and is on the same page. There is the Federation of the Atlantic between Morocco, the United States, France, the United Kingdom, Spain, Portugal, and Germany. Then there's the African Pact with Egypt and the East African Federation. And those are the only two major alliances so far. China and Eurasian relations are breaking down a bit due to the fact that Eurasia just annexed Mongolia. China's been wanting Mongolia for a long time. So yeah, comment below what you think should happen next episode, and I might put it in. Anyways, see you all later. This was World Legends, the Morgenthau Plan.